Hello.
Ms. Vaughn here, Ms. Fellows, and Mr. Kiyoshi.
Here, Your Honor.
We put this over a week because I think Ms. Fellows wanted to have additional contact with the parties. Were you able to do that, Ms. Fellows?
Yes, Your Honor. I did want to review the declaration that the father had filed. He filed it on January 31st, but he did not serve it until the day before last week's court. So I wanted to be able to review that. It's interesting that the copy that was served to me was not signed, was not a signed copy by the father, although the one that was in Odyssey is signed. And then the other thing is that there's actually some pictures that are in the copy that was served to me, but they're different than the ones that were on filed with Odyssey. Not an overly big deal, but just wanted to bring that to the court's attention. I do have some concerns about the father's declaration, is that he's pointing a lot of fingers at the mother, that we're taking a lot of the information from the mother. He had issues with me as well. But the simple fact, and he basically said that he was not going to do what he had been ordered to do. So that was, I have concerns about that. But what I will say at this point, I do have some new information. I did call his treatment provider. I did call them last week, and then I called them again yesterday. He is now basically in compliance. He had not been in compliance throughout this whole time doing his AANA meetings. He was supposed to do 2 times a week since November, since he started. He had not done any until about February 10th, I think, was the first one that he submitted. So from last week to this week, he actually has done them all. I talked to Jamie, his provider. He basically was going to like 2 or 3 meetings a day to get caught up. She did tell me he is caught up. I did ask her how much longer he had to go. And she counted and basically said, to her surprise, is that he is basically done with phase 1. He had 12 weeks to do the group sessions. He has done those, although he hasn't necessarily been overly consistent, but he has completed those. He did the AANA, he's completed those. So she has now basically graduated him to phase 2, where he only has to do a 1 monthly meeting for about 3 months is what she said. So that's good. I commend the father. I know it's been a struggle. So I commend him for that. The other issue at hand that he basically said that he was not going to do in his declaration, but he has since called for a DV evaluation. I emailed him about that, and he said that he had called, I think it was February 10th, and he got a date for the evaluation for March 15th. I did call them yesterday late afternoon to just confirm it. I have not heard back. So that is another good thing, that Dad is finally following through with what the court had ordered. But his declaration is concerning, just mainly because I feel like he's blaming the mother for the information, for having to do these services, when in reality, he was discharged from the military because of DV and alcohol. So there is that factual information that I'm largely basing my information on and what I was concerned about. That said, my understanding is that the FaceTime visits have gone much better since the court ordered that they were to be at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. That has made it where it is, everybody knows what time and everything else, so it can be scheduled. So that is going really well. The mother has indicated that the FaceTime visits have gone longer since they have been so consistent. So that is a really good thing. So at this point, given the information that I had gotten last night or late yesterday afternoon regarding treatment, I am recommending that the in-person visits restart again. I am a wee bit concerned about Dad not being overly consistent with his DV if he is recommended for treatment. But then again, he did do what was asked of him to get his in-person visit. So I think that we need to move forward with that.
And that would be supervised with Ms. Brandhorst?
She supervised, yes, at this point. Apparently, she is not able to do it given the change in Dad's work schedule. So Parents Place was able to do it. I believe it was on Tuesdays because Mom works on Wednesdays. So Tuesdays was workable for Parents Place back about a month or so ago. I hope that they would still have that availability. And that's here in Longview.
Let me hear from Ms. Vaughn first, and then Mr. Kiyoshi, I'll hear from you. Ms. Vaughn, anything you want to add at this point?
Yes, so I am okay with the supervised visits happening since he is in compliance, but I do also share the same concern with Beth of the consistency. Like she said, he hasn't been in compliance since this last week with treatment, and he happened to make up the last 4 months of his outlined plan in this last week. So I'm concerned that with the treatment moving from weekly to monthly, it may cause him to be able to slip through the cracks again like he did when he was getting supervised visits back in November. Is there a way to make sure like we are able to get, like can he turn his AA slips into Miss Fellows or something so that I can check in with her since I can't contact his treatment center to be able to make sure he's in compliance? Or could there be a way for him to like email me his slips so I can just see that he's still in compliance before a supervised visit is made?
I think I prefer that Ms. Fellows get that information and that she report to me on our review sessions. I think that makes sense. And if Ms. Fellows feels there's a significant concern, she can put the case on the docket if we don't otherwise have it scheduled.
Okay, and then
get in touch with her about that, but I think I'd rather that information go to her.
That's fine with me. I just wanted to make sure there was some way someone knew if he wasn't in compliance again. My other concern is actually pertaining to the restraining order that I had proposed to you at the whole beginning of this. So since then, there's been an issue with how he has served me documents, both in our summons and petition for our divorce and the motion for temporary family orders. It states that they are to be served to my sister's address across town. My address has been listed as confidential on everything. Due to the nature of the case, I didn't want him or his family to know where me and my son were living. And somehow he stalked my address to the point of finding us, locating us, and having us served at my home twice now. One being last Tuesday when we got this set of his declaration. The first time it happened was back in October, and he was out in his car outside my home. despite the bench order of there supposed to be no contact between us. It's very concerning, and it's kind of ruins the peace of mind and well-being and safety in my mind of my own home. And I ask that that be granted. I had gone to law enforcement with it after I was served last week, and they had said without an actual restraining order signed and in place, they cannot act upon it. So I'm concerned about this, for sure, concerned about this. I want to be able to feel like I'm safe in my home.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kiyoshi, any response to all of this?
Yes, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. So again, I wrote down my thoughts just because I have a lot to say, but so I did get the evaluation scheduled for March 15th. As far as being consistent with my treatment and everything in my declaration, the reason why I had questions about, or not questions, the reason why I had problems with doing these treatments is because we were told it all started with the FaceTime visits. We had to create a space where me and him can interact. That wasn't happening. If it's not reciprocated on her end and I'm doing all the work to see our son, where's the equality in that? That's the whole thing with the consistency. But after last hearing, I did start going to the AA meetings, and I've completed them. I've talked to my counselor. I'm good with that treatment, and I'm on the phase 2. So my concern now is that the visitations with our son, the FaceTime visitations, they're going a lot better now. You put it off a week, last hearing, which was last week, you put it off a week. I'm moving forward, and I'm taking these steps so I can have quality time with my son. These virtual visitations, 30 minutes, they're good, it's something, but I need more than that as a father. I can't raise him over a camera. And with the protection order, if she feels she's unsafe, I went every time I go down to turn in paperwork, declarations, or anything like that, I go to the court and I've asked them, because they've sent me down to the sheriff's office to try and get these declarations served to her. The lady at the counter told me I just need a third party to get the papers to her. Since the protection order was put up, not once have I tried to go see my son. Not once have I gone to her house to cause problems. The reason why I have someone serve the papers to her home, which I wasn't stalking her to try and get it. I'm just trying to make sure she gets the paperwork. I don't want any gray areas where I send it to her sister's house and then she said she never got it. I want to make sure she actually gets the paperwork.
Well, if she wants to be served at her sister's house, I think that's something that we need to comply with. And,
okay.
And if you want to send it certified, to make sure you get a card back so that somebody can't come back and say, well, it never was received. You're free to do that, but I don't think it's appropriate to ignore that request and simply go to her house.
Your Honor,
understood, Your Honor.
Let Mr. Kiyoshi finish. Go ahead.
So, okay, that's understood. It won't happen again. I don't go near her or her house if I don't need to, and I don't try to cause problems when I do. I just want to make sure the paperwork gets to her. That's all. And it's not me serving, so I thought it was okay, but now I understand, Your Honor. So, from what I said earlier, not once have I, other than to serve paperwork, not once have I tried to go see my son. It's been 2 months since I've seen him. I still have this Christmas present sitting here. I've done the visit. I'm in compliance now. And then, sorry, I wrote my thoughts out because I have a lot to say. So, Ms. Beth Fellows is saying I can have those supervised visitations. Other than not being in compliance and her not keeping up her end on creating that space for me and him to interact, and I've mentioned this in court multiple times, it's hard to interact with him, and like, I can't raise a kid over a camera. No one can. So the supervised visitations are back on the table from what Ms. Beth Fellows said. I would like quality time with my son unsupervised. And if that means that we have a third party pick him up, drop him off, and me and mom don't ever have to talk to each other, I'm okay with that. But I can't raise a son over a camera. The FaceTimes have been going good, but mom is in the video too, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. So I'm watching them play. That's fine. I can't play with him over a camera. So I'm not mad that, you know, they're sitting there playing and stuff. It's his mom. But what am I doing? I'm sitting there just watching. And like I said, the supervised visitations, it's an hour, it's 2 hours every other week. That's 4 hours in 30 days. How is that? It's not helping build the relationship I already have with our son. I need some quality time with him, with her, and I mean, because she doesn't feel safe. I'm okay with that. We don't ever have to see each other, but we can have a third party pick up and drop off. That's fine. If it's a day off and I need to spend the whole day in Kelso because she doesn't want me too far, that's fine. I'll find something to do with him in Kelso for the whole day. They're garnishing my paycheck, which I have no problems with supporting my child. I have him under my medical insurance. Like, I have no problem with, but he's under my medical insurance. Like, they're garnishing my paycheck for him. I have no problems with that, but I have no quality time with my son. So she's okay with me taking care of him, but not having that quality time with my son as a father. Like I said, his Christmas presents are still here. I haven't seen him in 2 months. I'm in compliance now, but I want quality time with our son. Just me and him, without her, without anybody. I can't raise a son. I can't raise a son 4 hours in a month. It's not healthy. He's always going to be questioning, where's my, he's used to it now, but because that's what was put in place. But I need to be able to, hold my son, hug. I haven't hugged my son, but I'm doing my best to take care of him. She's okay with it if I'm taking care of him, but I'm not there to raise him. That's not okay. I'm a father. It's my right to be able to raise my son. And I'm sorry if I'm getting loud, but I'm just, this has been going on since September, October. Like, I need time with my son. I'm okay with taking care of him, but I'm taking care of him and he lives down the road and I can't even go see him, pick him up, take him to the park. I can't do any of that. And it's frustrating.
Mr. Kiyoshi, I fully support your desire to have quality time with your son. We're here because there was an alcohol issue that resulted in a termination from the military. There was treatment ordered that initially you didn't comply with. And I had ordered for over a month now a domestic violence evaluation. And now you've set that up for the 13th. You're doing, at this point, what the court needs you to do to make sure that when you're with your son, that your son's going to be safe. Okay.
Right.
But we are not at the point of unsupervised visits. And I will just tell you from my perspective, I want to see the results of the domestic violence evaluation before I would even consider that. And if there's treatment that's ordered, then we'll have to look at that. Again, you're moving in the right direction, but I will just be totally transparent with you. This is going to move a lot slower than you want. And you may get frustrated. And I guess if you want to, you can tell me about that frustration. But I just want you to understand that's how this process is going to work. But I want it to move forward. So it sounds like when we set a specific date for the video visits or in specific time, that those started going better. That's good. Ms. Fellows is now saying, let's go back to the supervised visits because you're now in compliance with the treatment. You've scheduled the DV evaluation. That's good. We're moving in the right direction. Okay. If the domestic violence evaluation, let's say is okay. I don't know what it will be. Then maybe we take another step at that point. So I am going to tell you, you're going to be frustrated with this process, but I'm going to take the steps that I need to make sure your son is safe. Okay. Now, Ms. Fellows wants to say something, and I'll let her do that.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. I was thinking instead of the every other week for supervised visitation because he has done what this part of it is to do every week 2 hours at parents' place.
And that possibly would be Tuesdays?
Yes, I do have a text out to the director at Parents' Place to see if they have Tuesdays available. She hasn't gotten back to me quite yet.
Ms. Vaughn, would you be able to accommodate that with your schedule?
So I would be willing to once we have the DV eval in hand to see what it states. So potentially at our next hearing, if that's okay. This one I would still be willing to do every other week since he is just transitioning to once a month with his AA stuff. I kind of want to see if he stays in compliance with that, given the history of not being in compliance.
I don't see much danger to your son by having supervised visits before that DV evaluation.
Okay,
so
that's fine. Can you also just clarify, he had said that he's been serving them to my house and he wants to make sure the service is made. He has not filed any proofs of service. So he could also do that to make sure, to show that he's done it.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I did hear back from Kathy Griffin at Parents' Place. They do have between 10:30 and 1:30. So there could be a visit like 10:30 to 12:30.
All right, thank you. I appreciate everybody's input. I am going to order starting next Tuesday, supervised visits at Parents' Place from 10:30 to 12:30. That will be every week going forward. The Wednesday video visits, I think they were 6 p.m., will continue. Mr. Kiyoshi is ordered to not go to Ms. Vaughn's house, not have anybody on his behalf go to her house. Service will be at Ms. Vaughn's sister's house. Either that can be done personally on the sister or sent by the mail. Mr. Kiyoshi, I don't want you to personally serve anything on the sister, but if you want a third party to serve her on behalf of Ms. Vaughn, you can do that. But primarily, I think you should be able to just send stuff in the mail if you're doing declarations or whatever you file.
I had a question, Your Honor.
Just a minute. I want to pick a review date. Do you think Ms. Fellows will have evaluation done if he has the evaluation the 15th? Would that be completed by the 29th, or do you think we need more time for that?
I would say, just to err on the side of caution, maybe another week or two after that, just in case.
All right. I'm not going to be here on April 5th, so let's go April 12th.
Okay.
I will enter a bench order with the decisions that I've made today.
I have one more question, if I may.
Let me just finish my thought on something. So the DV evaluation should end up with Ms. Fellows. So if you need to do a release of information with them so she can get it, I expect her to review it and she can report to the court about it when we get back together. All right, Ms. Vaughn, go ahead.
We have a family vacation plan that is out of state for about a week in the end of March. Is that going to be okay since he will now have to miss a visit?
I'm willing to accommodate that. So is that the last week in March?
It is the 18th of March to the 25th of March. So he would be missing Tuesday the 21st.
Okay, so that means the Tuesday the 21st and Wednesday the 22nd.
You can make the call Wednesday, totally fine. I just won't be able to take him in Tuesday.
All right, so we'll have to skip the 21st for the in-person visit.
Yes, Your Honor. I had a question just to clarify something. So so I'm now on, I can see him weekly?
You can do what?
I can, the in-person visitations are weekly?
Are weekly, yes.
And they start, so you said it starts on Tuesday. Can I set one for this Tuesday coming up?
I think you may have to call Parents' Place, but the first one should be on March 7th. And then the 14th, and we'll have to skip the 21st, and then 28th and 4th and 11th before we get back together.
And okay. Just to let you know, is that Kathy at Parents' Place said that she needs to have paperwork from both parents before the visits can be started. So it's up to both parents to get it ASAP.
Okay.
For the visits to start next week.
So everybody needs to cooperate with that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your good work, Mr. Kiyoshi. And we'll see you back here in a little over a month. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.